everybody, Trevor here, and it's time for another top 3 video. This time, we'll be looking at another one of my favorite childhood stories, The Little Engine That Could. We all know the story about the little engine that could, right? You know, a little blue steam engine who helped pull a train of toys and goodies to the children on the other side of the mountain, and that it was originally written by Waddy Piper in 1930. While it was one of my favorite childhood classics, it's still not as important as the usual Thomas and Friends lore, at least in my opinion. But for now, we'll be ranking 3 of the animated film adaptations from worst to best. So let's get chugging. Number 3. The Coronet film adaptation from 1963. This short film came out the same year as Disney's The Sword and the Stone, but unlike that movie which had better animation quality, the one in this short has aged very poorly. I mean, look at it! It looks so cheap and lazy compared to most cartoon shorts at the time. Not to mention the ugly character designs, especially the little blue engine herself, who looks nothing like what she was in the original book. But on a more positive note, the story itself mostly stays true to the original source material, and like other adaptations, the moral was very well executed and not forced down your throat like most children's stories. And I especially thought the woman who narrated this did a pretty good job.
Once there was a little train of cars. She was flying merrily across the country with a load of toys for the children who lived way over on the other side of the mountain.
But other than those positive traits, this deserves the number 3 spot as one of the weaker cartoon adaptations of any kid's book. The animation looks cheap and lazy, and the character designs look ugly and barely look anything like their book counterparts. Number 2. The 2011 CGI remake by Crest Animation. I'll be honest, when I first heard and saw a teaser for this on the internet, I thought it looked terrible and looked inferior compared to the original book in 1991 adaptation. Not to mention that the redesign of the little blue engine herself looks like she came from Chuggington. Not that Chuggington was bad to begin with, but still. Couldn't they just retrace the original book design instead? I mean, she looks a lot better and less ugly in that one. But after giving this movie an honest watch on YouTube, I'm starting to have second thoughts on why I didn't like this version for the most part. For starters, I thought the animation looked pretty good overall, and surprisingly, this was made by the same animation company who brought us animated atrocities like Alpha and Omega, Nora the North, and even The Swan Princess. And this film adaptation was basically their magnum opus in terms of plot, character development, voice acting, and animation quality. Speaking of plot, this film is quite different from the original source material. These trains are known as dream haulers, which deliver good dreams to children all over the world, and they were led by a friendly control tower who was voiced by none other than Whoopi Goldberg. And to be frank, I like that Tower was friendly here compared to a certain other adaptation, which I'll get to later. And speaking of voice actors, I thought the voice acting in this was overall excellent. Not only Whoopi Goldberg was in this, but we also get Jim Cummings as Rusty, who is basically a father figure and mentor to the little blue engine herself, Allison Stoner as the titular character, Jimmy Lee Curtis as Bev the female clown, and even Patrick Warburton as the caboose. In addition, my favorite character in this version is the Nightmare Train, who delivers nightmares all over the world, and is basically the main antagonist of this film. And boy was he quite scary. Overall, after giving this direct-to-DVD movie an honest chance on YouTube, it's not as bad as I thought. It's not the worst adaptation, but I still would have preferred it if the Little Blue Engine's design didn't rip off Old Puffer Pete's from Chuggington. So therefore, I'll give it a pass by putting it as number 2. But it's still not as good and memorable as my number 1 spot, which we'll get into right about now. And my number 1 choice is obviously the 1991 2D adaptation from my childhood. I'm sure some of you knew this one was coming. This is not only one of my favorite direct-to-video movies from my childhood, this is the absolute best adaptation of The Little Engine That Could ever. No contest whatsoever. First off, I think the little blue engine's design in this, who is called Tilly by the way, looks very cute and adorable. It mostly stays true to original book counterpart. But this movie, in terms of character designs, is adapted from this book in particular. This book's my favorite, by the way. In addition, I thought Kath Soucie did a perfect job voicing Tilly. You may know her for voicing other classic cartoon characters including Phil and Lil from Rugrats, Sally Acorn from Sonic's Sad AM, Dexter's mom from Dexter's Laboratory, and even Lola Bunny from Space Jam, just to name a few. I also thought the other voice actors did a perfect job with their respective characters as well, including Frank Welker as Roll the Clown, as well as Peter Cullen as Pete the Freight Engine. Also, the 2D animation in this was very good. And I do mean very, very good. And in fact, the animation was done in Wales and was distributed by Universal Home Video, which also distributed the 2011 remake. And furthermore, I thought the song Nothing Can Stop Us Now is a great and nostalgic song overall, despite it being the only song in this 30-minute movie, because it blends in with the movie's moral very well, which is to never give up.
I think I can, I think I can. There's not a mountain that we can't climb. There's not a river we can't make it over. There's no tomorrow that we can't find if we try. You know we're gonna make it. Nothing can stop us now.
But the best part of this adaptation, in my humble opinion, is that it mostly stays true to the original source material from the book, but with some extended plot lines such as a reason for the Red Engine's breakdown, as well as giving most of the characters more character development, especially Tilly herself. However, despite my very positive reception for this film, it does have a few things I don't like. For one thing, I hate Tower in this version compared to his more friendly counterpart in the 2011 remake, because he always underestimates Tilly as being quote unquote too little to pull a train over the mountain. I mean, he's such a jerk!
Never. Nix. No way, no time, not now, not ever. No, no, no!
And speaking of the mountain, how come the other big engines like Farnsworth and Pete managed to get over the mountain safely while Tilly had to take dangerous risks while taking the birthday train over the mountain like that? That's just so unfair! Not to mention that the big wolf, the eagle, and the cave itself were just mean-spirited by calling her too little. Oh, and the part where Tilly got caught in that avalanche was like one of the saddest moments in any climax because it looked like she died. But thankfully, she was just unconscious for a little while and managed to get her consciousness back when her firebox lit up. So yeah, after all that, she managed to chug out of the snowbound and bring the whole birthday train to the other side of the mountain just in time. Thus concludes the best adaptation of The Little Engine That Could ever. And you know what's also sad besides the overall climax and Tilly crying in a couple of scenes? This was only released onto VHS and Laserdisc format, and for some stupid reason was never re-released onto DVD and or Blu-ray. Seriously, I don't see why they couldn't. I mean, the problem with VHS tapes, even back in the day, is that they don't last as long as DVDs do. Heck, even digital downloads are more reliable and relevant than videotapes these days. If Universal is watching this, or some other company who still owns the rights to the 1991 version, then please, I beg of you, bring this timeless classic onto DVD immediately! I'm already starting to miss my own VHS copy, which I couldn't convert onto DVD due to copyright restrictions. But on a brighter note, at least I was able to watch the whole movie on YouTube, but at the same time, I would like a DVD copy of this as well, just for backup purposes. Anyways, that was my ranking of all 3 movie adaptations of The Little Engine That Could. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I would like to hear your honest thoughts on The Little Engine That Could in general. Do you like it as much as Thomas, or do you prefer Chuggington more? I'm fine with either opinion, to be honest. And I also would like to know which of these adaptations are your favorite. Do you agree with my list, or have you seen better? This is Trevor Davis signing off and saying, I think I can, 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 I think I can.
I think I can, 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 I think I can.
When your feet are dragging on the ground, stand up and face whatever you're afraid of. When pandemonium is all around,
That's when you find out God it is your name.
over. There's no tomorrow that you can't find if you try. I know you're gonna make it. Nothing will stop you.